The US Department of Defense released more UFO data on July 10th. This time, there was even the clearest footage of a UFO ever captured. Today, let's take a proper look at this. Let's get right into it. The US Department of Defense has released the fourth batch of declassified documents related to UFOs. These documents include records of an unidentified flying object that intruded over a nuclear weapons facility in Texas. A report said the facility went on lockdown when a diamond-shaped object appeared. The Department of Defense said it's time for the public to review government-held information as part of a policy to increase transparency. There's a lot of attention because many videos were filmed in the Yellow Sea. Let's skip the small talk and go straight to the video. This is a video filmed by the United States Northern Command in 2020. This is probably one of the clearest videos released by the US government. In 2020, the United States Northern Command filmed a 32-second video using an infrared sensor mounted on a US military platform. Despite extensive analysis, they couldn't identify the object, so it was sent to the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office in the US government. The All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office tried to solve this issue, but in the end, they failed to identify what this object was. The military report written at the time stated that the object had a dark reddish-brown color and was estimated to be about 3.6 to 4.5 meters tall. The report explained that the object appeared to move with the wind, and there was no evidence of it changing direction on its own or making any sudden maneuvers. It was also unclear if the light came from a source or was reflected. It was confirmed that light was coming from 10 different places. This video was filmed in 2025 over the Yellow Sea off Korea. This 18-second video was filmed by the United States Indo-Pacific Command. This video was recorded with an infrared sensor on a US military platform. In the footage released to the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the sensor tracks an object centered on the screen. This object appears to have a hexagonal or star-like shape with 6 protrusions. It also appears to be emitting light and is moving at a very high speed. This footage was taken in 2019 over the Gulf of Mexico. It was filmed from an aircraft. A black object keeps flashing and moving, almost as if it's blinking. It repeatedly appears and disappears. Of course, some people have suggested that this phenomenon could occur because it was filmed with a camera. Even the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office couldn't solve the issue, so they declassified the information. This footage was filmed in the Middle East in 2023 by the United States Central Command. The video is a total of 10 seconds long, but during the first 5 seconds, nothing unusual is captured. However, at the 6-second mark, 2 unidentified objects are seen passing rapidly across the screen at the same time. The first object quickly enters from the lower right side of the screen and then moves upward, exiting the frame. The object appears to be emitting some kind of light. Then, almost at the same time, a second, smaller object appears at the top of the screen, moves downward, and disappears from view. The 2 objects were captured by the infrared sensor moving in opposite directions at very high speed. Both of them moved at a very high speed. This footage was also taken over the Yellow Sea. It was filmed in 2023 and is 4 minutes and 57 seconds long. The video quality isn't very good, but if you look closely, you can still make out some details of the object's characteristics. You can see an object flying at high speed over the Yellow Sea. The military managed to observe the object for nearly 5 minutes. You can see something that looks like a box floating in the sky, and it also appears to have no propulsion system. There is also light coming from inside the object. Another release material is an 11-second UFO video filmed by the US Northern Command in 2020. The military report released together states that this object appeared to be very small in size and that it continued to fly in a constant direction without changing course while moving. The report also explained that the shape of the object was too unclear to identify its exact form, but its appearance seemed metallic and the underside appeared to reflect light. In the released 11-second video, an unidentified object is captured at the top center of the screen right from the start. When the infrared sensor switches observation modes, the screen shakes noticeably, making the object seem to move rapidly across it. This is explained as a screen change from sensor mode switching, not a sudden object maneuver. Moments later, the object vanishes from the top of the screen. This footage was taken in the United States in 2015. Originally, it was kept by the US Navy UFO Task Force. In 2022, when transferred to the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, the US Department of Defense lacked an official process for handling UFO materials, leading to this situation. This is a 9-second video. For the first 8 seconds, there are no significant changes on the screen, but at the 9-second mark, an unidentified object appears near the center. Then, it quickly moves from right to left and disappears toward the left side of the screen. You can see it approaching the person filming. This video is a 20-second clip recorded in 2019. This video was shot with an infrared camera on a civilian aircraft. The military report released with the video features testimony from the pilot who saw the object. This pilot is a 28-year veteran of both the US Air Force and Navy. The report says that in 28 years of flying, he had never seen an object with these flight characteristics. He stated the object was small, flew very fast in a straight line, and passed by in the opposite direction of the aircraft. In the released video, an unidentified object is captured near the center of the screen from the very beginning. The US military tracked this object for about 10 seconds. The moment the zoom level and display mode were changed, the screen flashed white briefly before returning to normal. During that time, the object disappeared off the left side of the screen at tremendous speed and was not captured again after that. This transcript is from a 1949 closed-door meeting at the Los Alamos Scientific Laboratory in Los Alamos, New Mexico. Los Alamos Laboratory, now Los Alamos National Laboratory, was a major US research center leading the Manhattan Project's development of the first nuclear weapons. Renowned Manhattan Project scientists and world-class physicists attended the meeting. They gathered to determine the true nature of the green fireball phenomenon, which had been observed for months in the skies near the laboratory. At the meeting, several hypotheses were presented about the phenomenon's nature and origin. The most prominent hypothesis discussed was that the phenomenon could have been caused by a meteor entering the Earth's atmosphere at a very low angle and creating the effect at high altitude. However, many also pointed out that this explanation alone could not fully account for all the reported sightings. Dr. Edward Teller, a physicist known as the father of the hydrogen bomb, suggested that if this was not an object made of actual material, the possibility of it being an electromagnetic phenomenon could not be ruled out. On the other hand, Dr. Lincoln La Paz, a world-renowned authority on meteorite research, took a more cautious stance. He said, to his knowledge, no such phenomenon had ever been seen during a meteorite fall, and believed existing meteorite theories couldn't fully explain it. In the end, even though the top-level scientists who attended the meeting at the time considered various possibilities, they were ultimately unable to reach a consensus on the identity of the green fireball.
This is a photo taken in 1996.
This photo was taken by astronauts aboard the Space Shuttle Columbia. A UFO was captured in low Earth orbit. These objects appeared to be rotating. They were reportedly not satellites. This has raised a lot of questions among people. People are questioning why, after decades of analysis, even the United States with top military and intelligence agencies can't explain so many cases. Among the released material, some cases were directly reported by American pilots, radar operators, and intelligence officials. The US Department of Defense clarified this doesn't mean the phenomena didn't exist. In other words, the pilots actually experienced these unusual phenomena, but they still haven't determined what they are. But the problem starts here. With the US government set to release more materials every few weeks, public curiosity is increasing. If these objects are aircraft made by America's adversaries like China or Russia, the situation becomes very serious. That's because some public cases show movements beyond the limits of current aviation technology. Sometimes these objects move instantly at very high speeds, and there is almost no visible sign of engine exhaust. If such technology exists, the United States must consider that its air defense, radar, and missile defense systems could become ineffective. Like the US raced for stealth technology and precision weapons ahead of the Soviet Union during the Cold War, some say the UAP issue may also relate to future military dominance. This is exactly why US government intelligence agencies have started to view this phenomenon not as an extraterrestrial issue, but as a national security concern. On the other hand, if these objects are truly related to beings from outer space, the story becomes completely different. The entire history of civilization, science, religion, and philosophy could be shaken, and the idea that humans are the only intelligent life could collapse. Some claim extraterrestrial civilizations have been watching humanity continuously. Of course, there is still no evidence to prove this, but the fact that even the US government cannot provide a clear explanation is fueling people's imaginations even more. Another possibility is that this could be a new natural phenomenon humanity hasn't discovered yet. In the past, people struggled to explain things like lightning, auroras, or mysterious creatures. This UAP might also be a new physical phenomenon that future science will uncover. The key point is that the US government has released data accumulated over decades and admitted that even they don't know everything yet. That's exactly the part that is shocking people all around the world.